welcome to the latest episode of the Figures and Flippy Shit podcast, where we talk about our best moments of the week in wrestling and then our worst moments of the week in wrestling. I'm Susan, this is Chris, and make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what your choices are. We only discuss WWE and AEW, but you can tell us any other promotion that you like. We just don't have time to watch the other promotions, basically. But the first thing that, before we kick stuff off, though, is we want to kind of pay respect to, Terry Funk, but really also Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Terry Funk was somebody that I knew about growing up. I know how long he's been around. I know what he's accomplished. But I don't know enough about him to really go into detail with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you can see his influence all over the place.
Yes.
But yeah, and it's not that I don't want to honor Terry Funk. I just don't have the tools to do it. Bray Wyatt, on the other hand,
was very shocking.
Yeah. I'm 37, so for me, 36 is way too young. 36 is way too young as it is. With Bray Wyatt, you and I started watching wrestling regularly. We've been on and off since then, but when we really started to pay attention at first was 2017. And I know that for both of us, Bray Wyatt was somebody that grabbed our attention essentially immediately.
Yes, I like horror things, and he was very much scary and different, and he had a creative mind. He was a genius with his mind.
Yeah.
And I know there are a couple of times even on this podcast he talked about how Bray Wyatt's mind is so brilliant that sometimes it was lost on the wrestling fans too. He was just such a brilliant mind. So it was very, very sad.
He was a factory of ideas.
He was.
He was. It's crazy. Like him and Matt Hardy, I feel like their brains are always turning, trying to think of the next.
And I feel like Chris Jericho too.
Yeah. Chris Jericho's usually aren't as outlandish as Matt Hardy's and Bray Wyatt's were. But no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then, he was always changing something. When we first started watching in 2017, he was the Eater of Worlds with the Wyatt family. Wyatt family was kind of coming to an end when we did.
It was, yeah. But I've gone back and watched, and it was just so good.
Yeah. But you had that, and then you went to the Firefly Funhouse and the Fiend. I remember the first time we watched the Firefly Funhouse. And after it was over, I was like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I had no idea where it was going, and most people didn't. Most people were like, that was fun, but where the hell is it going?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody had alternate personality of Murder Clown on their bingo card. So then we had the Fiend, and the Fiend was very up and down. You could tell the Fiend was something great, but WWE didn't exactly know what to do with it. So that was kind of rocky. I remember the Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. I remember when it ended, and I was like, ooh, nobody's going to like that. Yeah. And I ended up being correct. And what was unfortunate about that was it nerfed the Fiend character for so long, and Seth Rollins' babyface run was essentially dead at that point.
Yeah.
So then we did some stuff with Fiend, and then we had Firefly Funhouse with John Cena, which was
amazing.
Was completely different off the
rip. It was amazing.
Different from anything that's ever been done. But it was the perfect time because it was right at the height of the pandemic. Everything had just started going into lockdown, and that didn't even slow Bray Wyatt's creativity down. He was like, I got this. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
And it worked out well. John Cena sang the praises of the match. A lot of people have sang the match's praise. It's kind of a misnomer to call it a match, but there was a pinfall.
Cinematic match,
and there was a pinfall at the end.
Yes.
So then the Fiend went away for a little bit, and then during the pandemic, Bray was released at one point. Triple H took over creative, brought Bray Wyatt back, and then we had the Uncle Howdy stuff, which was promising in the beginning, and then it just kind of felt like nobody was sure where it was going. And this was supposed to culminate in a match with Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. But Bray went out shortly before that, and he wasn't able to come back.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious now more than anything where that story was going to go, especially with Bobby Lashley. But
basically we just want to say rest in peace.
Yeah.
Amazing mind. From all reports, he was a pretty good dude.
Yeah, he had a lot of friends, a lot of people that were very crushed by what happened.
Yes.
And you could see it on SmackDown last night. Just you could tell the wrestlers that it had taken a toll on, and poor Braun Strowman and Eric Redbeard, man, they've had to do this with two friends in the last 3 years. I think Brody died a couple years ago.
Yeah.
His was the same thing. He was off TV for a little bit, found out he had an illness, died way too young. The similarities are just too eerie.
Mm-hmm.
And, all my thoughts to those two guys, because everybody that was affected, but those two especially, I've never seen Braun look so crushed.
Yeah.
He just looked lost.
I'm pretty sure AJ Styles was crying.
Yeah.
It was really...
Yeah.
Yeah.
LA Knight, you could tell, it took everything for him to keep it together. People were talking about how Corey Graves looked like he was being held together with scotch tape pretty much through the whole night.
Yeah.
But, kudos to that dude to go out there and, be so crushed on the stage at the beginning of the show and then run the rest of the night on commentary like nothing was going on. I don't think wrestlers get their due for how quickly they can turn that stuff off and channel it and use it to do their job. And, the fact that they had to deal with a friend of theirs that just passed away, and then to get on the road and go do a show and try to entertain people. Mm-hmm. We give wrestlers a lot of shit for things that don't work. I mean, we have our dislikes list that we do every week. But I think what gets forgotten sometimes is these are people. Mm-hmm. These are people with real relationships and real friends and real family members. And it shouldn't take something like this for us to remember it, but it just seems to be how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bray and Terry Funk are both going to be missed, and it's a shame that things went down the way they did, and COVID's a killer, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely
well,
is.
That being said, though, I think we are done with the sadness for right now. I think we should get down to our picks.
Well, until we get into some of our likes, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just saying, let's get to our picks, though.
All right, let's do it.
You can do your... Well, let's do our dislikes first. So you can do yours. I actually have... We usually go for top 5, but I've never had 5. I actually have 5 this week, but you can start them out.
Okay, so my number 5 has to do with the Street Profits. And it's not like that I don't like the combination with Bobby Lashley. I'm actually a very big fan of it. Mm-hmm. I just can't tell where they're supposed to be aligned.
I get that.
Because they come out, they look grumpy.
Yes.
But they still have their cups and their same entrance, same music.
Yeah.
And they fight a little more aggressively, but the crowd constantly cheers them. And then Bobby comes out acting like a baby face, pumping up the crowd. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about them.
Yeah, I don't know. If you're going to be heels, you need to be heels in every aspect. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
I think if they're going to be heels, as much of a bop as it is, I think the theme music needs to change.
I agree with that. Yeah. I agree.
And you don't have to change it much. I mean, Finn Balor, they literally just slowed his down, and it sounds awesome.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, that was my number 5. I want to like this group. I just don't know if I'm supposed to hate like them as heels, or if they're still... I feel like that's what they're leaning towards, but I'm just getting some mixed signals.
Yeah, agreed. Well, my number 5 was that Becky Lynch and Trish are still feuding on Raw. I'm very excited that we're going to get to see these two fight in a Hell in a Cell match at Payback, and we're going to see it in person. If we weren't seeing it in person, though, I would be like, I don't care. And I hate to say that because I like Becky Lynch. I like Trish Stratus. I feel like Trish was one of the women that put the women's division on the map. So, her and Lita, and, I'm so over this feud, though. So over
it. It should have ended at SummerSlam.
Yes, I feel like it's only going now because Triple H is trying to make amends for them getting pushed off the card.
I kind of feel that way, but it feels like it's running out of gas.
Yeah.
No, this should have ended at SummerSlam. Roman and Jay, could have had 10 minutes shaved off. You could have found a couple other minutes throughout the show to add in to put together a solid 17 to 18 minute time frame for them to have their match. I don't think there's any excuse for them to be left off of SummerSlam.
Agreed.
Especially when your main event lasted almost a damn hour.
Yeah.
And most of Roman's matches, as much as I like them when they get going, there's a lot of standing around and taunting.
Yes,
a lot
there
of
is.
it.
A lot.
A lot, yes. But I agree with you. They keep saying this is going to be the end at Payback. Please let it be the end. Please let it be the end. But then at the same time, I don't know what you do with both of them coming out of it. Because I feel like they're saving Becky and Rhea for Mania. I feel like they're keeping that in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Trish, I don't know what you do with her.
I mean, Trish, she's a legend. So like you could do so many things with her. You could have her kind of help out Zoe. Like Zoe could start feuds and she could kind of help out. And so I mean, she could do that kind of stuff. There's plenty of things you could do with Trish Stratus.
Yeah, there is. It's just I feel like on Raw, like outside of Shayna's coming back. You could have Trish feud with Shayna. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
But they're both heels because Shayna had that promo where she was like, "I'm not nice," and it's like, "Oh, so we weren't supposed to turn Shayna face." Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just the fact that she was beating the piss out of Ronda Rousey that turned her face.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Enough's enough.
Yeah. Well, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the fact that Luchasaurus is always squashing people.
He is. And he doesn't even come out with his title.
Not that I get. I'm fine with that because it further pushes Christian's delusion.
I guess. I just wish he would have his title, though. It's his title.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, like, commentary definitely pointed it out, like, oh, he doesn't have his title. We know who has his title. He shouldn't have his title.
See, that's on me. I don't listen to the commentators because
they made that a pretty focal point of what was going on.
Booker T's ruined it for me. I can't listen to him, so I just kind of tune out everybody. And Kevin Kelly has ruined it, so I tune. So, like, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. But, and I understand that Luchasaurus is wrestling Darby Allin at All Out, but it's not Luchasaurus' feud, it's Christian's feud.
It is, yes.
Which is probably done by design, but at the same time, Luchasaurus is mega talented. You can have him do more than squash local jobbers every week. Let him. I understand that you don't like your high talent to lose, and that's why you do that. But I mean, have him have a competitive match with Action Andretti. Sell the point that maybe Darby has a chance because he's smaller and Action Andretti's speed kind of helped him out a little bit. I mean, I feel like you could do a decent 10-minute match with Action Andretti or somebody on that level and be fine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, AEW doesn't do these squashes a lot, but when they do, it seems like they go on forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the person just keeps squash all the way.
Yeah.
But that's my number 4.
Mine is that KC2, so Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, they were in a squash match against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, which I understand that they were trying to sell the point that Piper Niven is dominant, but why would you squash a tag team that is that good and that cohesive and works that well together? Why not do Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell? They're just starting out that we've seen. I know they were together in NXT, but the main roster, they haven't seen that. So why not put them together? Like, I know that you had, it was Candice that fought Rhea on Raw, but like, why not have just switched that around? Like, you could have had Rhea fight any other woman. There's other women to pick from. So I just don't like how it was them in a squash match because they are so good.
Yeah, I don't understand what we've done with them and the Unholy Union, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. They are MIA. They had a couple of vignettes and they are off the map. If you're gonna call them up and take their titles, do something with it.
Yeah,
like,
it's not
I feel
fair
like they
to
really
them.
got done dirty with the draft.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say the only NXT woman that's come out okay from the draft is Zoe Stark.
Yeah.
Because she's paired with Trish. But yeah, and Chance and Carter are really, really good, and the crowd could get really behind them.
They have different moves. Like, they're good.
Yeah.
And you're squashing them.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
And, I guess good for Chelsea Green, but Chelsea Green had no shine in that match. That was all Piper Niven shine, and to remind us who she is.
Yes.
I think if you wanted to do something like that, what I would have done personally, and of course hindsight's 2020, but what I would have done personally is I would have booked her in a couple single squashes to build her up, and then I would have had her go to Chelsea Green and say, I'm your new partner now.
Yeah.
But, Sonya Deville's knee injury isn't planned. It happened when it happened.
And they had to address that.
But you could easily tell the story simultaneously of Piper Niven winning these squashes. You could simultaneously tell the same story, and you could actually probably do it really funny, where Adam Pearce is trying to track down Chelsea Green to get those titles, and she's just eluding him and hiding from him and running.
Yeah.
Like, how funny would it be?
Chelsea Green would have been amazing at doing that.
Like, how funny would it have been if, like, Chelsea Green's, like, walking through the hall, like, looking around corners with her titles, and she sees Adam Pearce coming, and she runs and jumps in the sports car and speeds off. Like, how funny would that be?
Yeah.
You could have done that while you were building up Piper as a singles, and then brought these two stories together.
Yeah.
But, like I said, hindsight's 2020. But, with the Sonya Deville injury, we could have played it out a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green's talented enough to do that.
Yes.
My number 3, there's not much more to say because my number 3 was also Caden Carter and Katana Chance's booking and the other NXT bookings in general. There's not much more to say. Book them better. They're very talented. They could get over with the crowd with no problem, I think.
Yeah.
So use the tools you have.
Yes.
Use them well.
Better.
Yes. All right, so what's your number 3?
My number 3 is from Raw. I am so over the Raquel being hurt storylines. We always do that for her. Like, I get that she's one of the bigger women, taller wise, she's built. But why is it that every time you don't have a storyline for her, she's hurt? Why does that always happen? For one, you make her look weak AF.
Yeah, it's funny because they make her look like this big dominant force, but it's like she's made of glass.
Yes. So let's stop that. If you want her to be this dominant force that's on TV more, let's not always hurt her. And can we also make her do more than just smile and back flex? Because that would be nice too. But that's my number 3, though. Either book Raquel better or get her off my TV.
Yeah, it's pretty repetitive and pretty bland when it comes to her. And it seems like she's only medically cleared when it's time for her to have a big match.
Yes, it's so annoying.
Yeah. I feel like the women's division as a whole hasn't been as good under Triple H as it could have been.
I agree, and I'm very shocked because he did amazing on NXT.
Maybe that was all Shawn Michaels, because Shawn Michaels seems to know what to do.
That's true. That's very true.
Maybe that was him.
Yeah.
My number 2 is I love both these groups. I like the Judgment Day. I like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'm really tired of seeing them together.
Yeah.
I really like the Judgment Day, but I feel like the Judgment Day's feuds go on forever.
They do.
Like, they are... How do I put this without... They're basically... I have the same complaints for them that people have with Chris Jericho's booking in AEW. Where it seems like the feuds go on for years. Yeah. And I get it. They're your big stable. You want them to be at the forefront, especially since the Bloodline is maybe on its way out. I don't know. The past 2 weeks, they were just kind of non-existent. But this week, for a reason. They had something planned. They changed it because of circumstances. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But... Judgment Day, like, why can't you have them, make them more of just, like, going after everyone? Like they're kind of doing that now. I mean, I know they've moved away from Seth, thank goodness, because we've got something really good cooking with Seth over somewhere else, which I'm sure we'll both get into later. But... it's always KO and Sammy. Off and on. Sometimes it's Cody Rhodes. Sometimes it's not. It feels like Cody Rhodes is more involved now. Because I thought maybe they were going to build something for Cody Rhodes at Payback, and then they announced he's on the Grayson Waller effect, so I don't effing know. But I just feel like the Judgment Day feuds with people for a very, very long time. Except, ironically, for Rhea.
Yeah. Who
who has one match with a woman, kills her, moves on.
Yes.
So, Gotta get the kinks worked out there.
That ties in with my number 2 because my number 2 was Rhea's booking with the women. I think...
Wow, let me just say that was not done on purpose. I had no idea what your list was.
And it literally... I think that they do... I love how they book her against the men. And when she's with Judgment Day, I hate how they book her with the women. Like, it's just squash matches. Now, Natty was able to have an excellent showing against her.
Yeah, more of those, please.
Exactly. Like, there's no reason why the women can't compete against Rhea Ripley. Like, why do we have to have squash matches? I get that she's this great competitor, but why can't you make the other women look just as good against her?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people say that, you know, in AEW, like, not everybody needs a 15-minute match. Like, the lower card person doesn't always have to put up a good fight. WWE could use more of that in its women's division.
Yes.
It really, like, let Rhea put on 10-minute bangers every week.
Yeah.
Why not? It's not going to hurt nothing.
No.
You can still have her be dominant. Christ, Roman Reigns has, like, hour-long matches every time, but you still tout how dominant he is.
Yeah.
Like, you could do it.
Yeah.
Look how well it works out when it happens with somebody like Brock Lesnar. Anytime Brock Lesnar goes more than, like, 7 or 8 minutes, it's usually pretty good.
It is, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, if anything, book Rhea like Brock. If you don't want her to wrestle that much, that's fine. But when she wrestles, have people put up a damn fight.
Agreed, yeah.
So, I mean, I'd like to see her wrestle more, but, you know, if it's just going to be squashes like this that's not servicing anything, then why bother?
Yeah.
But...
Well, what's your number 1 dislike of the week?
My number, I think we have the same. So my number 1 dislike this week, and I hate to do this because I understand it was a tribute show and it was a tribute segment, but the hardcore match on SmackDown. So Cody Rhodes comes out, talks about Terry Funk, gave a great speech. It was an
amazing speech.
It's Cody Rhodes. I'm not surprised. It was an amazing speech. That dude has a way with words. And he did this beautiful tribute to Terry Funk. And then he announces that we're going to have a Terry Funk tag team hardcore match. Cool.
Yeah.
It was the Brutes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Good direction.
Yeah.
Street Profits. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That should be some good carnage. The only carnage that we got was a table spot at the very, very end. There was nobody even tried to get any weapons. Nobody tried to do anything hardcore. It was a standard tornado tag team match that essentially I think it was designed to be hardcore for Bobby Lashley to be able to get involved and not cause a DQ. I really feel like that's what happened. And I think what really sold it was like Michael Cole when it was over. And I haven't said a lot of negative against Michael Cole, but I'm going to have to put this one on his negative side. When the match was over, he was like, that would be a hardcore match that Terry Funk would be proud of.
No.
Have you ever watched a Terry Funk match? I said at the beginning of the video that I didn't know a lot about Terry Funk. I know damn well his hardcore matches were more than just one table spot. Hell, the vignettes that they showed for Terry Funk on the show told me more than that. So I'm not going to use the word disrespectful because they tried to do something in his memory, but I think you really misnamed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, for me, was number 1. Like I said, I understand it was a tribute thing.
Why not have Bobby Lashley come out with the chainsaw?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people wanted. Yeah.
Like, he didn't have to just come out with it.
They did the famous ladder spot, except with no ladder, where Ridge was spinning around Butch, using him as a weapon, which was a spot from a Terry Funk match with a ladder. It's a hardcore match. I know you got ladders, WWE. Why didn't you just do that spot?
Yeah.
Because, it was lost on the fans because they were like, what's going on here? Now, commentary explained it, but that doesn't help you in the crowd.
No.
Because you can't hear commentary.
Yeah.
Unless you're, I think the Mexican promotions you can. But, yeah, so I thought that was a miss. That was a miss for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Misnamed. Just call it the Terry Funk Texas Tornado match and you're good. You're done.
And you were right, that was my number 1 also. So I just felt like if you're going to honor him, do it correctly.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. If you take the hardcore out of it, The match was pretty good.
It was a good match.
It was good.
Yeah, just not what you advertised, and nowhere close to being what you advertised.
Yeah. And I feel like all you did with that was anybody that tuned in that wanted to see a tribute to Terry Funk probably left pretty upset.
Yeah.
Like, wow, a Terry Funk hardcore match and you did one table spot.
Yeah.
And I get it, you're PG, but you've done shit like this all the time. You do street fights all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if it's Christmas.
Yes.
Christmas or a holiday or something.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just felt like that was a miss.
Yeah.
So that was our dislikes for the week. So let's do some positive because we started out the video sad and then we did our dislikes. So why don't we do something positive?
Okay.
All right. So for our top 10, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You go ahead since you were starting with the other ones.
All right. My number 10 is, it seems like we're bringing back NXT Ciampa. So Ciampa cut a promo this week where he was talking about how he was so close to winning titles. Like, he was close to beating Shinsuke, who's now challenging Rollins. He was close to beating Gable in the four-way, who's now challenging Gunther. So he was definitely talking about how he was this close. I'm this close to doing things. And he was doing his NXT-style promo where he was in a room by himself, sitting backwards in a chair. And then he said that he's going to have to do it himself. He said, do it yourself. And I think you pointed out to me that he's been doing missing posters for Johnny Gargano on social media. So for anybody that doesn't know, DIY was the tag team of Gargano and Ciampa in NXT,
awesome.
And they were fantastic.
Yes.
So I am hoping that's the direction that we're going. Bring in DIY. That would be a really fun. Could you imagine DIY and Owens and Zayn?
That would
be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
That would be another tag team for the Judgment Day to torment, and for them to have to get through the Judgment Day to get to KO and Sammy, to let KO and Sammy do something else.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to have them do more with Imperium, but I guess not. So yeah, and when he was done, he did the classic NXT thing where he got up and flung the chair against the wall. So I love NXT Ciampa. NXT Ciampa, just love NXT Ciampa so much. And I really hope he's back, and I hope this isn't just a tease that's going to go nowhere.
Yes. Yeah.
That was my number 10.
My number 10 was Santana and Ortiz are teaming up again.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked them. And they're going to be the Stadium Stampede with BCC. Now, WWE, I know that you can't do the level of bloodiness that AEW does, but if you want to look at a hardcore match, I would probably suggest watching AEW.
Yeah, I saw a post on Reddit where somebody said that Jon Moxley is going to go out of his way to pay some sort of tribute to Terry Funk, and it's going to be the most extreme thing you've ever seen.
Yes.
Jon Moxley is one of those people that I feel like if he saw that hardcore tag match, he'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Moxley would be like, I feel dirty. Like,
Yeah.
He would have to go bleed somewhere to make himself feel better.
But yes, that was I was just happy that they're back. And I'm happy about the Stadium Stampede, and I'm just, yes.
The only thing that stinks is that it got cut down to just the 5 because Ray Phoenix had an issue with his visa, which really stinks. I really love Ray Phoenix, and he deserves to be at the Wembley show.
Yes.
Sucks that something like visa issues kept him from doing it.
Agreed.
But, I mean, those things happen.
Yes.
It seems to keep happening with the Luchas because they were supposed to be on the Jericho cruise and their travel got screwed up there too. So maybe they need to hire somebody better to do their travel.
Maybe. Well, what's your number 9 top?
My number 9 was the match on NXT between Carmelo Hayes and Wes Lee. I thought this was a really good match. I thought the ending was kind of weird. Because, I mean, the match was great leading up to the end. And then there was a spot at the end where Carmelo Hayes was on the outside. And Wes Lee went to do a dive through the ropes at him. And I'm not really sure what was supposed to happen or if what happened was supposed to happen. But he shorted Carmelo and just kind of face planted on the floor. And it looked like it hurt like hell. And then Carmelo Hayes got up, threw him in the ring, hit the nothing but net, and that was the end of the match. So I don't know if we were telling the story that Wes Lee tried to push it too much and he ended up screwing himself over. I don't know if they were covering for a missed spot that might have happened. If it was an accident, I don't want to be like, oh, he messed up. I don't want to be that guy. But to me, the ending just kind of, the match felt weird in the ending. Because it was really cooking until then.
Yeah.
So that was my number 9. I still think the match was great. I think Carmelo Hayes winning was the right call. I think Wesley going a little more heel is the correct call. It's just the ending. The ending is what kept it from being higher on the list. I won't say the ending ruined it because it still made number 9 on my list, but the ending being weird kept it from being higher.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
My number 9 was when the Creed brothers kidnapped Ava on NXT.
That was interesting because that story ran throughout like the whole night.
It did.
Like,
and I'm not the biggest fan of Ava, so her getting kidnapped was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it made my top 10.
Maybe.
But
the Creeds have shown more personality since they were kicked out of NXT than when they were in NXT.
Because I did not like the Creed brothers. I thought they were boring, but they've been fun here lately. So they were definitely my number 9.
Yeah.
I loved when Ava was kidnapped.
Yeah. And we're going to get that resolved next week.
Yes.
Because the Creeds are going to have a match with the WYATT. If they win, they're reinstated into NXT.
And it's in a cage match.
Yeah. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, it seems pointless that the Creeds left NXT. Could be any number of things.
It was a storyline.
Yeah, maybe the Creeds wanted a vacation.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it was like, oh, we don't know what to do with the Creeds right now, so we'll do this story, kind of keep it playing in the background until we're ready for them to come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be any number of things. I think it's fun. I like when we do different things.
I do, too.
So, and I know there are some people that are disappointed that it didn't result in a call-up. Well, look at how the NXT call-ups are doing currently, and you tell me if they got to that end of the deal.
Yeah. Well, what was your number 8 top?
My number 8 was Nathan Frazier and Noam Dar on NXT. This match was really good.
It was. I was sad that Nathan Frazier already lost, though.
Yeah, see, that was one of the things that honestly was the one, because I had 6 dislikes this week to pick from, and this was the 6th one that didn't get picked, was I don't understand why we did all this just to put it back on Noam Dar.
Right, and I love Noam Dar. I love his metaphor people, I really like them. It's just, why?
And what's funny, now, there is something that can make this better. One of the gripes that people have when AEW does the interim things is when people carry around 2 belts because they have to.
So maybe Noam was hurt. Well, he was wrestling though.
No. What I'm saying is people don't like when they do that because they're like, oh, the 2 belts looks dumb. Noam Dar should absolutely carry both cups.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely should carry both cups. Oh,
he should say he's a double winner. He should absolutely do that.
Yeah, Noam Dar should feed fully into that.
That would make it better, I think.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see where we go from here. He definitely won by shenanigans, but we'll see what's going on. It seems like every week Noam Dar has pissed someone off. So.
Oh, yes. For sure.
Yeah. So that was my number 8. The match itself was great. Ending, we'll see where it goes.
Well, my number 8 pick for the best of the week was Chad Gable versus Gunther. That match was so good. Gable looked so good in it. And Gable was the first person to beat Gunther in a year and a half, I believe they said. Now, it was just by count out, so he didn't get Gunther's title, but he did technically beat Gunther. And good for Chad Gable for getting that run. Yeah. And good for him.
And Gunther lost his shit.
Oh, yeah. He was destroying the commentators table. But it was good.
Yeah. We're not done with these 2.
No.
If you're gonna take it off Gunther, please let him break Honky Tonk Man's record first.
Yes, agreed.
Let him do that. You've done too much work for him to fall short like that.
Yes.
But no, that was excellent, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. We'll get more of my side of it here in a little bit. Let's see. Number 7 for me. So we've kind of touched on this already. My number 7 was also that Santana's back.
Yes.
And him and Ortiz are going to be in the Stadium Stampede. And I'm just really glad now that Santana's back because now we can use Ortiz again because Ortiz kind of disappeared for a little bit. He feuded with Eddie Kingston, and then Eddie Kingston quit AEW, went to Ring of Honor, so then Ortiz got forgotten. And Eddie Kingston came back with no Ortiz. So now Ortiz is back with Santana. And they're teamed up with the Blackpool Combat Club, which I think is an interesting combination.
Yeah. Well, but it makes sense that Ortiz wasn't with Eddie because weren't they fighting? So it makes sense that they weren't together.
Well, no, I just meant that when Eddie came back, Ortiz waited.
Oh.
I wasn't sure if Ortiz was going to come back until they did it this week.
Gotcha.
But good for Santana and Ortiz. You know, as long as Santana's been out and Ortiz just kind of, well, I wouldn't even say he was treading water. He was essentially gone, forgotten. But to come back and be able to be in this match on that stage is excellent. It's
amazing.
My one question that I have is, if Rey Fenix didn't have visa issues, who the hell was going to be the sixth one for the Blackpool Combat Club? That's a big what if for me.
Who knows? Tony Khan literally has every promotion except for WWE he could pull from.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. I have a feeling the All-In card didn't originally look like this.
Well, Tony Khan said that because of real life stuff, it had to be switched around.
Yeah.
So, well, my number 7.
Actually, I just had a thought. The original plan might have just been the Blackpool Combat Club with Santana Ortiz with a healthy Danielson.
Yeah.
There might not have been a random sixth person.
Yeah.
But this was announced after. Oh, so many what ifs.
I was going to say, let's not dwell on that. Yeah, He'll go down a rabbit hole.
We'll go down the rabbit hole.
My number 7, though, was Dragunov versus Trick Williams on NXT. I love that match. Trick had an excellent showing. I mean, Dragunov won, but Trick looked so good at it. And we already know that Dragunov's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
But that was just a really good match. NXT typically has some good matches.
Yeah. Trick really brought it.
Yes, it was. I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah, that was good. And Dragunov's just a force of nature, man.
Yeah.
And that dude's a force.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for him to go to the main roster. And I really hope they play into his history with Gunther.
Yeah.
My number 6 for the week has a lot of moving parts. It's going to take me a minute to go through it. So, and a lot of it circles around Christian Cage. So, on Collision last week, Christian and Darby had a hell of a match in the main event. Those two worked so well off of each other.
And I'm not going to lie, whenever that match was going, whenever going into that match, I do remember thinking, is Christian going to be able to hang with Darby Allin?
Oh, Christian can hang.
And he proved me wrong.
Yeah, Christian can still hang, man. So that was a good match in and of itself. That's the first part of number 6. Well, then we get to Dynamite, and we're doing the tag match between Swerve and AR Fox against Darby and Nick Wayne, which was also a really, really good match. However, AR Fox lost. Swerve kicked him out of the group and said he couldn't trust him. So then Swerve's like, I need somebody I can trust. Out comes Christian.
The perfect person to trust.
Yes, because I just imagine that Christian raised his nose in the air, was like, somebody here has a dead father. It's Nick Wayne. And then he went out, of course, told Nick Wayne he didn't know who his dad was. It's a good thing that his dad was a nobody. Just Christian doing the dead father
I know, his
stuff,
thing was just and your father.
And everybody knew where it was coming because he was just, and your father.
And he did this dramatic pause. Oh, Christian. He is just amazing.
I love that Christian's whole thing is, if you have a dead father, fuck you. I love that that's Christian's thing.
Right? Oh my gosh.
So yeah, Christian is now in the coffin match at All In. So now it's Swerve and Christian against Darby Allin and Sting. And I actually really liked that they went with Christian, because it kind of felt like Darby had 2 separate feuds going on, because he has Luchasaurus coming up and All Out. So this was a nice way to link those feuds together.
I agree. Yeah.
That was a nice little puzzle.
And I just feel like Swerve and Christian together, because Swerve is an amazing heel.
Yeah.
He's much more physical in his heelness, and Christian is amazing heel, but he's much more verbal with his villainous, or villainous.
Yeah.
Heelness. So it's put them together, and I never thought of it, but I really like it.
I like those two together too.
Yes.
But I say it every week on this podcast. I'm going to say it again. Absolutely, Swerve one day should be AEW World Champion.
He is so good.
Should be World Champion one day.
Yes, because he makes me forget that he's actually nice in real life. And that's very good in my opinion.
Yeah. So I just, this combination kills it for me. The only downside is it felt like AR Fox was forgiven pretty quickly by Darby Allin. But at the same time, Darby kind of set that up by saying, I'll always love you for what you did for me.
Yeah.
So I get why Darby was so forgiving.
And at the same time, just look at Darby Allin. He's done some things he's not proud of that he did. So why wouldn't he welcome somebody else and then in his mind did something that they're not going to be proud of?
Yeah. I mean, it might be a little awkward between AR Fox and Nick Wayne. Maybe we can explore that a little bit.
That's true. That's true. I mean, he did leave Nick Wayne bleeding.
Yeah. Nick Wayne needs a solo feud, and I think AR Fox would be a good place to go for that.
Yeah. Now, will TK do that or just act like all is forgiven? He'll probably act like all is forgiven. That's Tony Khan's way. But
Yeah. Tony's not the best storyteller.
No, he is
He's
not.
He's brilliant at, hey, I bet these two would put on a good match.
He is
put him out there.
Brilliant at that. But the storyline, he kind of struggles.
Yeah. And he just needs stronger storytellers around him for that.
Yes.
But yeah, that was my number 6. There was a lot to it. There's a lot that went on, but it was worth it. And it's going to be really fun. I'm excited.
Yes. Well, my number 6 was from Raw, and it was Miz, Tozawa, and LA Knight's little thing. So I'm not gonna lie, when Tozawa came out, I was like, oh, that's who we're getting. And then I poo-poo on myself because that was like a really good match. Or not even a good match, it was just a really good segment because Tozawa was all about the yes that LA Knight does, which infuriated the Miz. And then LA Knight comes out because Tozawa and Miz are going to have a match, and Miz is just distracted by LA Knight the entire time. At one point in time, he was like, hey, MySpace. So he called him MySpace. Miz called LA Knight MySpace. He keeps referring to LA Knight being a fad, so he called him Beanie Babies. Like, all this other stuff. And it's just so...
He did an on-screen promo on SmackDown where he called him Napster.
Napster. I forgot about Napster. But it's just... Miz is really good at, like, the promos, the gimmick stuff. LA Knight's really good at that also. So those two together, I really enjoy. They each get personal with each other, and I love when wrestling gets personal. I love whenever I have to question, is this an actual beef or is this just for the show? Like, I love that. So I really liked that whole thing that went down with them.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. My number 5, I think we're on.
Yes.
We've already talked about a little bit. It was the Dragunov Trick Williams match in NXT. Like we already said, Trick Williams, I think, is going to be fine for the future. I think he's going to be fine as a solo act on his own.
Yeah.
And one thing that I do find interesting, too, is that when Trick Williams went back to talk to Carmelo Hayes in the locker room after his match, and Carmelo Hayes was just like, yeah, you did your thing. Trick Williams stared down the NXT title for a minute when Carmelo was looking away.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if we're going to get a little bit of friendly fire coming up.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like they're going to turn Trick heel.
I feel like Carmelo is ready for the main roster.
Yeah, I do too.
So, like, having them feud would be while I would hate to see them kind of go their separate ways, I do feel like it might be time because Trick Williams, I think it's his time to shine now.
Yeah. I think what would work really well. I feel like I yelled that. What I think would work really well is if you separate them down in NXT, like have them have that match, and then they go their separate ways for a little bit, and then on the main roster, like, you know, a few months to a year down the road, you've got Carmelo Hayes in this big spot. Maybe he's fighting somebody like Gunther, or, you know, I don't know that he'll get to like Roman Reigns, but somebody that he's going to need some help. And for those of us in the know, it's going to be a nice pop when Trick Williams is the one to come out and help him. That'll make for a nice moment.
Yes.
Especially since we're tying the main roster in so much with NXT, you could probably get your main roster audience in the know enough for that to work.
I really like that since Vince left, well, since Vince isn't doing all the booking, I do like that NXT isn't this, like, forgotten land. They don't pretend that NXT things don't happen. Like, it's talked about. Like, they're part of the main roster show. And I like that.
They pimp out the shows. Like, they pimped out Heatwave this week on Raw.
Yeah. I do like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't just talking about the main roster people that were going to be there. Cole was talking about like Hayes versus Lee and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I do like how they do that now.
Yeah,
that always irked me whenever I was like, whenever they just made it seem like NXT wasn't around for people, and I'm like, we're just going to forget everything they did in NXT? Like, I did not like that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Well, my number 5 was the Christian and Darby match from Collision on August 19th, because we're always a week behind with Collision.
Yeah.
So, I really liked that match. I know we already touched on it whenever you were going over your stuff, but there was, like, this match was so good, it got a holy shit chance. Like, it was just such a good match. So I won't go into detail with it again, but it was just really good. And I did forget that, sorry to say Edge, that Christian can go that well still. So I regret ever doubting Christian Cage.
Yeah. All right, so my number 4 was the Jericho and Ospreay promo from Dynamite. Now, that being said, when this match was first announced, my initial reaction was, okay.
Yes.
Why not?
Yes. I was even like,
I'm sure it's a match they both want.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. It'll be serviceable.
Yeah.
Thanks to this promo, I'm actually hyped for this match now.
They both. Did I sound Canadian?
Yeah, you pulled out a Jericho.
They both sold you on why this match was important, why they needed to win it. Like,
yeah.
Like, Ospreay was talking about how literally the night before, tonight, like, he literally is wrestling in, like, like
indie promotion.
Yeah, like this little indie promotions are not big. So, like, he's literally going from this small indie promotion to the next day doing All In. So this match was a big deal to him. Will Ospreay, yes, I know that he's one of, like, I know that he's known for being one of the best wrestlers right now, but like, he still does like super small, like 30 crowd indie shows. So like, this is a big deal for him. And he was talking about how his contract's coming up from New Japan, and I don't know. I was very proud of him. I was very happy for him. And then you had Jericho on the other side just talking about how I'm the reason, Ospreay, you're still around, because I called you 5 years ago and basically told you need to cool it or you're not able to wrestle for a long time.
Yeah.
So it was just like, oh man, like, and again, it kind of brought like personal stuff into it. So I was like, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And Jericho in his promo made All In feel like a big deal.
He did.
Like, he was like,
he
this is
definitely did.
This, he said at one point it was bigger than WrestleMania. It's bigger than other
which
shows that he's
I
done.
don't know if I agree it's bigger than WrestleMania, but for AEW, it kind of feels like it's a WrestleMania because it's big for them. Like, if you don't compare the two and you just kind of separate them, this is really big for AEW. Like, this is awesome. They're only, 4 years old, 5 years old?
Yeah, especially when you take the fact that the original All In happened simply because Dave Meltzer said Ring of Honor couldn't do 10,000 and Cody was like, we'll see.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
I think Cody Rhodes is doing great things in WWE. Don't get me wrong. I think he is perfect over there. A part of me wonders if he's kind of sad he doesn't get to be a part of this because he was so influential in the beginning.
I don't know.
Like, I mean, I would think there'd have to be a little of, oh man, that would have been cool to do. Or maybe he just looks at it and he's like, I'm really proud of those guys.
Maybe I'm really proud because he chose to leave.
He did. He did, and he's made it clear that it wasn't a difficult decision.
No, he's definitely made it clear that his destination all along was WWE. Which,
yeah. It's worked out.
Good for you, I suppose.
It's worked out.
Yeah.
It's worked out.
But yeah. And honestly, my number 4 is the exact same thing as you.
Yeah.
So, yes.
But yeah, it was an excellent promo that took a match that looks okay on paper to, okay, I gotta check this out and see where it's going.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm interested to see how well Jericho keeps up with Ospreay.
Yeah. Yes.
Because there's times where it looks like Jericho's keeping up, and then there's times where it looks like he's slowed down a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. He hasn't wrestled in a while, so maybe he's kind of building up his energy for a match like this.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, I'm hyped. I thought both guys did a great job.
Yes.
I'd never really heard Will Ospreay cut a promo before, so that was fun for me.
Yeah.
To see that and to know that his mic skills are pretty good as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff down the board.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Well, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is something we've already kind of talked about a little bit. It's the Miz and LA Knight stuff. I think this feud is definitely a mic feud.
Yeah.
Like, these two are a couple of the best talkers that WWE's got. That's last week. But yeah, and LA Knight, I wanted to especially spotlight. LA Knight was in the main event of SmackDown last night for the Bray Wyatt Terry Funk tribute show.
Mm-hmm.
It was him and Finn Balor, and they sold it as the Fiend's first opponent against Bray's last opponent.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like too how Michael Cole acknowledged on commentary that we never got the Fiend and the Demon.
Yeah,
that was something that we never
true.
got to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to leave a lot of what ifs. Maybe that's one of those things that the way they treated the Demon and the way they treated the Fiend sometimes, maybe it's one of those things that's best left to the imagination of what would have happened rather than see what WWE would have done.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that statement.
But I also want to spotlight that LA Knight cut a promo before that match, and you could tell like it took everything he had
His
to get through
lip
the promo.
was quivering sometimes. Oh.
But LA Knight simultaneously honored Bray Wyatt and eviscerated The Miz in one go.
Honestly, the end of his promo, oh my God.
Yeah, he stuck the landing.
It literally gave me chills. I was like, this. Oh, I got so excited.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, because the promo ended with him staring into the camera, which I love. That's something that Triple H brought back, is wrestlers looking into the camera.
Yeah.
I think that's really effective. I'm glad that's back.
Yeah.
But LA Knight stared down the camera and he told Miz, he said, I'll fight you wherever, which we're getting it at Payback. Yes, I'm excited. My LA Knight shirt better be here. But he stared down the camera and he said to Miz, he said, I'll fight you anywhere you want, but the next time you see me, he said, as a wise man once told me, you better run.
Run.
Yeah.
And he said he sounded just like Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
But there was also a time earlier where he was mimicking the Miz, and he sounded just like the Miz.
Yeah, because he was
like LA Knight was on it last night.
LA Knight came to cook last night.
I guess Friday.
Yeah.
But he was on it.
Yeah, it's like somebody on the live thread said that LA Knight woke up yesterday and chose violence.
He did. He did. Yes.
And he did, because a lot of people felt like the Miz was getting one up on him on the promos.
Yes.
And they felt like the promo last night leveled the playing field. They're back to even now.
I think that LA Knight was he just channeled everything that had been going on with like Bray Wyatt and stuff to like because he kind of acknowledged in a way too that like Bray Wyatt's the reason he is where he is right now.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt's last major act in wrestling was putting LA Knight on the map.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, it's unreal. It's crazy. I sometimes forget that the reason LA Knight is where he is because of working with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
And getting that spotlight. So.
Yes. I'll do my number 3. So we already talked about this. It was just the swerve turn on AR Fox and then Christian coming out, and mainly what made this my number 3 was Christian. Yeah. And his insults and his Christianness.
I think Christian is doing top tier heel work.
Top tier heel.
Yeah. Top tier here.
Yes, but that was my number 3 though. So I know we already talked about that, so we don't have to go into detail.
Yeah. All right. So we're on 2, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right. So my number 2 was Gable and Gunther.
Yeah, it was so. Of course, yours was so high on the list for you.
Listen. How long have I been singing Chad Gable's praises?
Look, our first Lenny appearance.
Yeah? How long have I been singing the praises of Chad Gable?
Forever.
For a long time.
Yes.
As a Chad Gable fan, it was so cathartic to see him get such a spotlight, to have the crowd behind him, to have commentary behind him.
He definitely deserved that spotlight.
Yeah.
He has been such a workhorse for nothing.
And he looked fantastic in the match.
Did.
He looked like a beast.
He did.
It reminded me in a way of like when Angle would wrestle Lesnar.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
But I always compare Chad Gable to Kurt Angle.
But I do
because
too.
He is Kurt Angle 2.0.
Yes, he is. He definitely is.
Yes. But yeah, I just thought that Gable was very well represented in that match. The crowd was hyped that he won. I think it was well done. I normally don't like countouts and DQs, but I think it was well done because it's the first time Gunther's looked vulnerable, and commentary really sold that up. That like, oh my God, Gunther lost. And he's still champ, but he lost.
And Chad Gable was just throwing Gunther everywhere, like he was nothing.
Yeah, he got the countout win.
A big dude.
He got the countout win by German suplexing Gunther over the barrier.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, stature-wise, Gable's smaller than I am.
Yes.
And it just, that dude's unreal.
Yes.
Like, Chad Gable is the man. Like, and I think that Gunther match is going to make a lot more people realize it too.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for Gable's future. Please don't let him get lost in the shuffle. He's so good.
He's
so talented. Just make him Kurt Angle 2.0 already and send him to the moon.
Yes. Yes. Well, my number 2 for the week was the Shinsuke video package and the Seth Rollins backstage promo. So them pumping up their, or not pumping, hyping up their match, which we're gonna go on Payback. Woohoo! But Shinsuke, man, holy moly!
As that person said about LA Knight that I mentioned earlier, Shinsuke woke up and chose violence.
Oh my God! Like I don't know why. Oh my God, I loved it. I loved his video package, and he got personal. He brought in Seth's family, so he mentioned Becky and their baby. He was talking about how what he whispered to Seth last week on Raw was that I know about your back, and then Seth confirmed, like, yeah, I have had, what was it, fractured lumbar or something?
He's got like 2 fractured discs in his lumbar or something like
which
that.
Something that sounds hella painful. I have lumbar problems, and it's nowhere compared to that. And there are some days I'm like, God, I can't move. So kudos to Seth Rollins for going out there to do all that. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But I just loved both of theirs. Like, Shin's video package, probably my favorite of the two, but Seth's response was amazing as well. So I'm very pumped for their match. Like, they really built their match up very, very well.
I like too how in the video package, and I'll go ahead and go into it too, because that's actually my number 1 this week.
Oh, okay.
Was Shinsuke and Rollins. I really like that they let Shinsuke cut his promo in Japanese and just subtitled him.
Yes.
Because I don't know that the same menace would have come across if they had him try to say it in English.
He just sounded so, and not because he wasn't speaking English. It's just his delivery just sounded so heel-like, and I was just like, wow. Like, this is the Shinsuke I feel like you got whenever he was in, like, what he came from New Japan, right? So I feel like that's the Shinsuke that you got in New Japan. And I mean, granted, I know it wasn't, because it's, watered down PG, but still, like, it was so excellent.
Yeah, and what I liked about it too was Rollins, like, normally Rollins cuts these big bombastic promos because he's a big bombastic character, and he was very grounded in his promo.
He was full of anger.
Yeah, he was angry. He was very, very toned down from the way he usually is.
Yes.
And I thought both of them did a great job to sell this match.
Yes, it was so good.
I'm very excited for this. I really like Rollins. I really, really like Shinsuke. So I'm looking forward to this, and they've built it well. From something that just kind of seemed like it came out of left field, they've really done a good job of making it feel personal and important.
Yes.
And if this is a one-off feud, it's a very well-built one-off feud.
It is.
But I don't know if it's going to be a one-off.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we'll see. Do I think Shinsuke's going to beat Rollins? No. But
no. I think it'll be a hell of a good match.
But yeah, I think it's going to get brutal in some places.
Yeah.
I think Rollins is going to take some bumps on his back that look like they're going to cripple anybody else. But
yes.
for him, it'll be I really enjoyed those to that. And like you said, especially Shinsuke's video package.
Yeah.
Was very well done. And let Shinsuke do more of these things.
Yeah.
Because he's damn good at it.
He is. Yes.
So, what is your number one for the week?
My number one was just an overall how well WWE did with an honoring in memory of Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk. Especially Bray Wyatt. But I just think they did so good with it. How they did such good little ways to like honor Bray Wyatt. The QR codes, the rocking chair, the lantern at the very end. Like,
yeah. I know the rocking chair was what sent me.
Yes, like the LA Knight promo. Like, it was just...
And it was very vulnerable from LA Knight, because he was like, he said the pictures with his kids broke my heart.
Yes.
That's what did it for me.
Yes. So it was just...
And what's funny, too, is LA Knight kept kayfabe alive, because he was like, we weren't the best of friends.
He's like, I'm not going to lie to you. We weren't best friends.
But you could tell from the look on his face, they were pretty close.
I think it kind of came from the fact, I don't even know if it was they were close. I think it's just that LA Knight credits Bray Wyatt for where he's at right now. So, like, it might have just, I don't know if it's that they were that close because he admitted they weren't close, or if it was just the fact that he was just like, if it wasn't for this man, I wouldn't be in my position in WWE that I am now. So, like, I don't know. It was just so good.
Yeah. Like, the beginning, like, with the crowd singing, he's got the whole world in his hands, and you could just tell, like...
The wrestlers started crying whenever the crowd started doing that, because he just went down the line. There was AJ Styles crying, Scarlett Bordeaux was crying, Bayley looked like she was on the verge of tears. Like,
Zelina Vega.
Oh my God, Zelina Vega was crying. Like,
which kudos to Zelina Vega, because she was sobbing, and then she went out there and had a great match with Io Sky.
Yes, yeah.
Like, kudos to her.
So, and Michael Cole said it perfectly, that, like, they are going to do what they know best after honoring these people. They're going to entertain. And I feel like Michael Cole said it perfectly, because I think SmackDown was a really good episode. I mean, I don't know. I just thought it was so good.
Yeah, there were quite a few stories put on hold. I know Jimmy Uso's Bloodline segment was cut completely.
But I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
I like that WWE did that. They literally put their stuff on hold on some of it to honor somebody that really deserved to be on. Well, two people. I don't want to say I forgot about Terry Funk, but Terry Funk, he didn't get as well because we do have the hardcore match, and I think that WWE was in the right. They were in the right place to try to honor him. So I'm not going to hold that against them, because it was just a really good show. It was just such a good memorial show.
And as far as the hardcore match, at least we had the Cody promo before it.
Right. Yeah. So at least WWE tried.
Yeah.
It was a fail. Not everything's going to stick, but
and the ending of the show ended the perfect way too.
Yes.
Because LA Knight won his match, which a lot of people were pissed that Finn lost, but LA Knight's the good guy. It's a tribute show. He's going to win. Chill the hell out. Finn will be fine.
Yes.
And as LA Knight, because it showed the logo, and I was like, oh, we're going to end on LA Knight. Well, then the lights went down, like they used to do with The Fiend.
Yeah.
And then there was a lantern in the ring, which I don't know how the hell it got there.
I don't know how the rocking chair got there in front of the wrestlers either.
I don't know either. It's magic, I guess.
I guess.
Maybe it used the Cody Vader.
Oh, maybe it's kind of like,
maybe, I don't know.
That's a good point.
But, yeah, they had a camera shot at the end where they had the lantern in the ring, and in the background on the Tron was Bray.
Yeah.
And it kind of looked like Bray was in the ring at first. The way
I thought that it was going to be Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand why, because he might not have been emotionally and like mentally prepared to be there yet, because Bray was his real life brother. So I get it. It would have been really nice if it was Bo Dallas doing the Uncle Howdy, because I get that Uncle Howdy didn't get over, but like that was one of the last things Bray Wyatt did. So, but it was just, I don't know. It was just really, really good. I almost teared up again at the end too.
Yeah, and it was. And what's crazy about that shot is I was seeing online where people that work in like creativity and production, they were saying to get a shot like that usually takes weeks, if not months of planning, and WWE put it together in 2 days.
Yeah, I feel like WWE was like, Bray was important to us. He was important to the wrestlers. We need to honor him in the best way we possibly can.
Yeah, and I think they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
I think they hit a home run with how they paid tribute to Bray.
Absolutely. With all their, because they did a lot of creative things, and that's what Bray Wyatt was known for. He wasn't known for being like the best in-ring wrestler. He was known for his creative mind. So I think they just did excellent with that. So it was for sure my number one was just overall how well WWE did with that tribute.
No, I would 100% agree.
Yes.
But that's going to do it for the video this week.
Yes.
There's lots of wrestling out there. You know, find what you like. You know, there's go find the next great creative mind out there. See who's out there.
Yes. Go check out indie promotions, because you see wrestlers and you're just like, this is brilliant, like the Great Alexander. But it was just
yeah. But we won't have an episode next week because next week is Payback.
We will be there live, and
yes.
it's my birthday celebration month, so I will not be focusing on a video. I'll be focusing on being there in person.
Yes. And you're going to get to sing Seth Rollins' song, which is something you've always wanted to do. I'm getting an LA Knight match. Cody's with Grayson Waller.
I'm a little nervous because the shirt that I bought for Payback was the Judgment Day, and I swear to God, if they break up, as soon as I get my shirt, I am not going to be happy. But thank you guys for watching.
Yes.
Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think. Tell us what your picks were. If you don't agree with our list, that's absolutely fine. It's opinion-based. Tell us what you think. That's the great thing about wrestling. We don't have to like the same things because there's so much of it.
Yes.
But yeah, we will see you all in 2 weeks. So anything else you want to say before we head out? Say our goodbyes.
No. I think we're good. I think we're good. Rest in peace, Bray and Terry Funk. And thanks for everything that you did for us.
And remember, wrestling is a community. Is that what you always say?
I used to say that, yeah.
Oh, wrestling is a community.
Yeah. But I think I have a more appropriate way to end it this week.
Okay.
Follow the buzzards.
Oh! Yes. All right. Later.